Booked. I'm Hurley Winkler.
And I'm Jenna Hassel.
And we're happy that you guys came back to listen to this interview with Jason Kelloway.
I love him so much.
Yeah, he is a wonderful human being. He's also the owner of Social Grounds Coffee, which is a coffee shop here in Jacksonville in the Springfield neighborhood on Main Street.
Right on Main Street, right.
And Jason is like maybe the busiest person in Jacksonville.
100%.
I mean, what do you think? Probably up there at least.
Yeah.
He owns a coffee shop. He's a veteran. He also owns a Cup of Love ministry, which is a ministry that offers coffee, food, clothes, hygiene products, all kinds of things to homeless folks in the area.
Specifically here in downtown Jacksonville.
Yeah, exactly. So, working here at the main library, that's a big deal. He's also a father of 4 and a husband. So we're like, how does he have as many hours in a day as we do? He does so many good things. And at Social Grounds, they also roast their own beans, which is totally amazing.
And it's so good.
It's delicious.
I bought some for my sister for Christmas last year, and she's asked me at least 2 more times to buy it for her, to bring it home for her. It's really, really good.
Well, that shouldn't be a problem because we should totally go up there
I
and
know.
get some for ourselves,
We
too.
need to.
It's delicious. Like scrumptious coffee. At first, Jason said he started working 72 hours a week himself when he first opened the shop over a year ago now.
Right.
Which is nuts. And
They've come such a long way. Like he was saying, they just celebrated their 1-year anniversary, and the amount of time and just the love and care that he's put into this business is really evident. And I think that just the neighborhood, all the people in Springfield can really feel that, and everyone around Jacksonville.
For sure.
Yeah, he talks about relationships is really what helped him get this started, and the relationships that he's kind of kept and cultivated is really evident in his business model and how he runs it day to day, which is so cool.
Definitely. His shop is also really special to me because
That's right.
It houses the Babes Who Hustle book club, which I lead with Babes Who Hustle. It's a quarterly book club, and Jason and his wife Mandy have been like so awesome opening up the space for us on Monday nights when they're usually closed.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and letting 60 babes who are hustling and reading into their space to drink coffee and talk about books. So that's been a huge thing. He's been a wonderful community partner in that regard.
Yeah, he talks about how he loves to help people in the community. If you ask, Jason's going to help you. And if you've ever been to Social Grounds Coffee, fitting 60 people in there is a pretty large feat. It's not that large. It's not a big space.
It's not. It's
so
cozy for
that's
sure.
incredible.
But they make it work for us, and it's a blast.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So here is Jason Calloway, the owner and operator of Social Grounds Coffee Company. Jason Kelloway, this is so fun to have you. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And like we were just talking a few minutes ago, I met Jason and his wife Mandy through CrossFit. And since CrossFit is a cult, we were just trying to convince him to come back. And Hurley as well is getting into CrossFit, huh?
I am. It's real. My muscles, I'm so ripped at this point. Yeah.
We'll have you once a month. You'll be good to go.
Yeah, once a month. That's all I need.
All right, so let's jump into it. Jason, give us a little history about you first. Just let us know a little bit more about you.
Just was an athlete my whole life, played all kinds of sports, baseball, football, basketball, and ended up in a period where I grew up with my grandparents. My dad left when I was 2. My mom was kind of in and out of my life, kind of really only came back when I was in high school. And at that stage, it's awkward. You don't know how to communicate. You got a lot of stuff going on. And so I kind of isolated that out, and the relationship was already a little bit difficult. And so I kind of mulled through that and, ended up, grandmother passed away. I went to play college baseball. Come back, play college baseball. And my grandmother passed away, and I just left. That was, my grandmother and grandfather were like all I really had, like consistent in my life, and a piece of that was gone. So that was a really big blow. Came back and started to drink a bunch and get into stuff that I shouldn't. And my mom did look at me one day and was like, "Hey, your grandmother wouldn't be proud of this. Like, do something." And so I joined the Marine Corps. And so I went in, loved it. It fit with finding some identity in who I was and some pride in what I did, and I really just loved it. Spent almost 5 years serving in the Marine Corps. I was all over the world, and just, I don't know, it just did something in me with leadership and real motivation and a lot of other things for me. And then I chose to get out, and that was a tough call for me. It was just before 9/11, and I met my first wife, and it was very difficult. I remember exactly where I was at. I was in Memorial Hospital. I was working for a company and saw the towers come down, and immediately made a call. Still had contacts, and I was like emailing, want to go back in. Didn't talk to her about it, and I got if you do this, then we're done. And it was tough to kind of walk through Iraq and Afghanistan, and see the guys that I had trained and been with and mentored coming back. And a lot of the things that we talked about were things that actually happened. And so tough for me trying to figure out what to do next. I got into fiber optics and voice data, moved up and excelled, went to school at night, was valedictorian in my class for technical college, and just kind of burn out from there. I kind of plateaued. The person that was under me promised me some things and to excel and to expand, and it wasn't the case. And so then I think a lot of things caught up with me. Things that I experienced, my childhood, all of that. Drinking became more, hanging out with the wrong people, and I had gotten into some hard drugs. And for the next 4 or 5 years, it was just a decline. Lost my job, lost my marriage, lost everything in the matter of that. And then came a day where I tried to commit suicide 3 or 4 times, end it several times, whether it was with a pistol or using so much that I just wanted to be over. I did not like who I had become, did not like that whole thing. It was a true addiction. Like, how do you stop? You don't want it. You regret all of that. And so I struggled with that, and ended up for the next, I don't know how many years after that, kind of battling. Got plugged into a church, got saved, walked through what that looked like. Thought my marriage was going to be saved and come back, and it didn't. And then back to what I knew, coping. You know what I mean? Drinking, other stuff to kind of put a plug in that feeling and do escape reality. I didn't really like my reality of where I was at and what had happened. And so finally came to a point to where it was like either this is done, this is a crossroads, this is done, or I'm going to fight. And I fought and began to kind of get back into really, really like figuring out what's underneath here, what's happening, why. Not just the behavior, but actually the root of the cause. And it was childhood stuff that I had to kind of go back and deal with and kind of cope with. And still to this day, you think that you do, and there's another layer there of like, man, this bothers me still. Like, so in 2013, was homeless, had nowhere to go, had an opportunity to go to Africa, felt like that's where I was supposed to go, to a missions organization with Heidi Baker, and went and just really got loved on, got a lot of peace and stuff, and came back. And then I was like, man, what am I supposed to do with this? And so I came back and started to do, felt called to give to the homeless. I was just one day just talking about, I was in my vehicle. It was cold as it had been in 25 years. And my friend was like, don't sleep in your car. I had no heater. He was like, don't sleep in your car. Come stay on the couch. Stay on the couch, was watching the news, actually drinking a cup of coffee, and felt like that's what I was supposed to do. And so I started there. That's how I got into coffee. Wow. Yeah. And so it's kind of funny that I remember like why. I share pieces of the story of why coffee, why do we do this. And literally on the way up here, 5 people that are homeless, that are that we have loved on right here in downtown, I see from the parking lot to Hemming Park to downstairs to the elevator, 5 different people that we've developed relationships with and loved on and been there for, know their name, they know our name, kind of thing. So,
wow.
Yeah, Couple Love Ministry is ultimately why we do this. It's a reason. Obviously, I was there. I experienced a semblance of what they have gone through and have a true heart to go, man, using that coffee just to build that relationship and give them hope.
Right. Mm-hmm. And so Social Grounds Coffee Company is what you own now, and that's kind of where that grew from, was that Cup of Love ministry that you started back in 2013.
Yeah. Yes. And the hard part, that was 2000. So you fast forward a few years later, figuring that out. 2015 in January, I got married to Mandy, my wife now, met her through the ministry. She actually funded it for the first 4 months, and you look up and this beautiful woman's like believes in you, and she's funding it and believes the same things you do. And so she has been, I can't put words to what she means to me and what she's helped me do. And so she's been my biggest advocate and cheerleader and motivator in all of this. And so we got married, went back to Africa, and just I felt this call, hey, how do I fund this? And I had seen in South Africa other entities create a business arm and just thought it was really creative. And we were doing coffee, and that's what we were using to reach the homeless. And I was like, coffee, okay, what does this look like? And so I just began to share what was on my heart with coffee and kind of fell into a few things. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's where it started.
That's really cool. And tell us a little bit about how you choose your coffee beans, and you guys roast them yourself here in Jax, right?
We do. That's actually how we started.
Okay.
Ultimately was sourcing from someone. I shared it with a friend of mine in the Marine Corps out of Alabama, and he said, hey, call Rick. He married my cousin. He'll help you out. They were already sourcing for a different reason. And so I kind of fell into specialty coffee. I didn't know anything about single origin, specialty, high-end coffee until I met these guys. And these guys actually helped me create or actually pack or fill orders. Mm-hmm. So I started to source their coffee and repackage initially, and then just began to learn. And then once I got a chance to raise money for a roaster, and raised the money, almost $16,000 on a Kickstarter. I don't recommend that for anybody. Kickstarters are, I think I lost, I don't know how many years of my life over a 30-day campaign. You either get it all or you get nothing.
Wow.
Yeah, and so it was gut-wrenching, but we did it. Got it, and I just began to learn myself. And so sourcing green bean coffee, I had met another guy. These are all relationships, right? It's funny how this works. I met a guy in Jackson, Mississippi. His name is, he's with Bean Fruit. Slipping my mind, awesome guy. First time ever seen a roaster, really. Had stayed in contact. He gave me bits of information, and he told me about a company that actually was right here 10 minutes away, Royal Coffee. And most people start there, so we can source really good coffee from all over the world and pick it up next day, just 10 minutes off of Edgewood. So yeah, I just began to source from them and just began to educate myself. And now I'm in the spot of there's a lot to know about sourcing green bean coffee. There's a lot to know about your customer base as well. What does your customer want to have? And so we've been in that kind of struggle of figuring that out now that we have a shop.
Right. What have you learned about your customers through the process of figuring out what they want to be drinking?
Lattes.
Yeah.
Tons and tons of lattes. Yeah, we kill lattes. Yeah. And I think most shops do. But our model and the way we do it is we hope that these second and third chance opportunities, I always build that relationship enough to say, hey, try this. See what you think, you know, and this is why. And so we want to educate this year. So this year in January, I felt like I was focusing on green bean, sourcing better coffee. education and experience. How do we promote a better experience, even if it's the subtle, small things? Starbucks, you order, you sit at the window or sit down and you go up and get it. We really, really try experience-wise to see how we present and what that looks like. So presentation is actually, sourcing green bean coffee, education and presentation. How do we present that to you and bring it out to you? So those are big deals to us. So sourcing green coffee can be very difficult. Cycles of when countries produce coffee, when harvest is, are all over the place. Different sides of the world produce in different times. How much do you use? And projecting a lot of that stuff. And then what do people want? I think people are open to a lot of things, but we're trying to still figure that out. Hurley, I don't think I've figured it completely out. I'm still in the process of that.
Right. Well, it sounds like you're very attentive to what your customers want.
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah.
And you just celebrated your 1-year anniversary of your storefront in Springfield, so congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
How has this first year in business with the storefront kind of compared to your initial expectations?
Man. I see two sides to it. Gosh, it's so difficult because I see how much work we have to go, right? That's always that push for me. But then the reflection part of we have helped change and draw to a community that is a gem. We've been able to live there in historic Springfield. We've been able to sow into our business and our lives there, everything. Because it's a lost community. People have kind of written that off until recently. It's just a hidden gem, ultimately. I mean, of the beautiful houses. When that housing crash hit, everybody's talked. Historic Springfield's coming back. And then until recently, people are like, oh, yeah, sure, we've heard that. It's been so long. And so I reflect on that right there, what it's done for us in the community and connecting with the people. We have been able to help fund and give coffee to our own ministry downtown, sustain ourselves. That was the ultimate goal. Like, how do I sustain myself? You know what I mean? It's like the airplane adage, right? You know, got the mask drop and they go, hey, put the oxygen mask on yourself first. You have to be able to breathe. You have to be healthy in order to help someone else. Because if you go down, you're no good to anybody. And so that was the initial, like, how do I create an income without having to go ask? I want to give. I don't want to ask, even though we do have donations for our ministry and stuff. But I like to work and see what it does and influence and stuff. So that has been a big part right there as well, helping us to get there. So we've helped Rethreaded. We're a Freedom Partner for Rethreaded. This is our second, actually going into our third year with them. We've helped to create their number one corporate gift through their smaller sample bags and their big ones. So we've loved working with them and fed kids in Nicaragua, sustainability projects in Haiti, and then I'm also working on hopefully to do something with Wounded Warrior Project with other veterans besides our own mission of hiring veterans. We just hired our second veteran.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Besides myself. So we've met our mission. Michael was with us in the beginning, and he has moved on, and that's our hope, to move on for a corporate position and get on his feet. And so now John is a Afghanistan, Iraq veteran that we've brought in to help. He struggled, feeling safe, struggled PTSD, and trying to feel capable to do something. So
Right. So tell us a little bit more about your special, business model that you have for hiring and training your employees.
Oh, I think that's been a work in process. I think I've kind of navigated that. I think you always start with initial idea. And luckily, kind of researching and talking to other people, and my experience are that teams work. CrossFit, right? We know how powerful spreading a load and helping one another is. And so I wanted the effects of that. So I really wanted one veteran with one professional to help solidify that, and thought it was a good model. And so we've kept that model. So we have 3 regular professionals and 3 veterans in there. And so the model is to help a transitioning veteran. We're still small. We're still trying to grow. Transitioning veteran who struggled with homelessness, PTSD, some of the things that have, that they struggle with, help them to have purpose, to empower them, to show them they can do it, have the courage and the family. And so I think the environment that we've created for success and modeled around them has created and cultivated an environment that they can grow in.
That's amazing.
How has being in the military affected your role as a business owner?
Leadership-wise, it prepared me for people, to lead people, to navigate that role and inspire and lead by example. But entrepreneur skill and tenacity, you have to be resilient. You have to dig in and fight and continue to do that, because it's not for the faint of heart. Being an entrepreneur, small business owner, you're going to take hits. You're going to have to just dig in and do the work yourself, get your hands dirty, unless you have big investors, which we don't. But I think it's prepared me in that way. But as far as business goes, yeah, this has been an ongoing learning cycle for me. But I know that someone wise once told me, surround yourself with people that can do what you can't do. And so I've really tried to look out for those people to.
Yeah, that's good advice.
Yeah, to build a team that can do what I can't do. And so I've heard it, especially from my general manager, Sergi, visionary forethought out there, pioneering into things that people may be scared to do or don't know what to do. And I'm not scared to try it. It may not be perfect or it may not be exact, but we'll do it. We'll figure it out. So I think we're that small, feisty, like scrappy shop.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we love all the other shops here. So it's been cool.
And you've had a good response from your neighborhood, do you think?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've tried even to give back to our neighborhood. If there's been a need, if there's been a fundraiser, we don't talk a bunch about that. But, I mean, if you asked anybody, we open our doors, we give towards those kinds of things. So, and I've heard it once said that a coffee shop is the heartbeat of a community, and it's so beautiful to watch families meet each other there on Saturdays, and people have meetings there, and people have shops and businesses in Springfield, and tell me that people want to meet at their office, and they're like, no, I want to go meet at social grounds. I think there's an ambiance there of, an atmosphere of just something different that people want there, to hang out.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
That's awesome. Do you have a favorite memory about the library, either with your kids or maybe as a child growing up?
Gosh, I'm trying to remember where the library was. I did feel a little bit bad because I walked in here and I was like, I live so close to this library. My kids have never been in here. So I just had them.
Incredible.
Yeah, and it is awesome, and it offers so much that I even was like, man, what over the summer can they come and hang out and research and do? So, gosh, I think that it's just another lost gem of sorts, and it's refaced itself and offered more technology than just books alone. Right. So I don't have many as obviously in a school library we had as kids. But I don't have many memories, but I know when I walked in here and I looked around, I was like, gosh, I have to bring my kids here. I live less than 5 minutes away. Mm-hmm.
And I've been to your shop more times just from going to the Brentwood Branch Library, which is just off of Main Street in Springfield. It's a very small library. It's in the old Brentwood Theater. Mm-hmm. It's a very unique building. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, and they've just renovated the top floor too, so it's a wonderful branch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do a lot for the community too.
Is it over past 8th and Main?
Past 8th, I believe. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably. I'll have to check it out for sure.
It's really cool.
Wow, that's awesome.
And we ask this question in every interview. What did you want to be when you grew up?
I think when I got to high school, I had this of being a doctor at some point, but I mean, athlete was always in me. I don't know what, I think, I think probably, man, as a kid, it was an athlete. I mean, I played sports, and that's what I did: soccer, baseball, football. Yeah, probably an athlete.
I'd say the doctor thing would make sense too. Always wanting to help people and give
Right.
back. That's a good one too.
Yeah, absolutely. I had something in there in my heart. I think later on was like, man, when I was getting out of the Marine Corps, like, I wonder if I went back to school to be a doctor or help or do something. So
That's so cool. Well, we love your company and we love what you guys are doing for the community. So thank you again so much for being here.
absolutely, I appreciate you guys having me.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Yes.
Man, that was a blast. We loved learning more about Jason and his mission. And man, what a gem of a human being.
I
right?
know.
Yeah.
It's incredible what he does for this community and just for, he just loves people. And it's really cool to see how he's sewn that into the heart of his company.
Yeah.
And, has really stayed true to that model and is
Right.
expanding. I mean, even after the interview, he was telling us about 10 other things that he's working on, trying to incorporate. He just really is shooting for the stars.
Yeah, and you can just see the fire in his eyes. He's so passionate about what he does, and that's really cool to see.
Super important too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
And he was also telling us about his $20,000 espresso machine that
Oh my
him and
God.
his wife bought and had on their kitchen table trying to learn how to work it just before they opened.
Right. You can
it's-
totally picture that, like scrambling to get everything together. But their coffee shop is beautiful, and all that hard work has definitely paid off. And it shows that they're willing to put in even more hard work to make it even better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that story. So for more information about Jason Calloway and to get more links to his coffee shop, you can find it on jackspubliclibrary.org/podcast. And you can also visit his shop on Main Street in Springfield.
You can order Jason's beans through the Social Grounds website, and we'll link to that on the jackspubliclibrary.org/podcast page as well.
Exactly. And also, if you're listening on iTunes, don't forget to hit subscribe,
And leave us a rating, preferably a 5-star rating, because we are terrific
obviously.
and it really helps. We want to chart those tops. Top
We want to top the charts, is what
the
she's saying.
charts. Top
Yeah,
the charts.
I think-
Don't
I
chart
think-
the tops. I don't know. That's not a thing.
I think we're I think we're chart toppers.
Yes, and top charters.
Yeah, why
Yeah,
not?
every day of the week.
And we really could be chart toppers if you guys tell us we are.
Yes, please do. Leave us a review and subscribe
Please.
on iTunes.
Not required, but encouraged.
Yes, please. Without further ado, I'm Hurley Winkler,
And I'm Jenna Hassel.
and you've been listening to
Completely Booked.
And this podcast is produced by Brian Thomas, aka
BT. AKA producer Brian. So
Producer Brian. Bye.
thank you.
Bye.